everyone, and welcome back to my channel and another episode in my Getting Healthy for Beginners series. In case you are new around here, my name is Marissa and I am a pharmacist and health coach. And here on my channel, I talk about holistic living, how to improve your gut health, how to get healthy if you're just kind of starting out on your health and wellness journey. And I also share lots of healthy recipes, what I eat in a day, and grocery haul videos. So if you're interested in any of that type of content, then I would love for you to stick around and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So as you can tell from the title of today's video, I am talking all about sodium and how to reduce the amount of sodium in your daily diet. Other words for sodium that you may have heard to refer to it include words like sodium chloride, salt, and table salt. And although there are some minor differences between them, essentially with all of the terms, we are referring to the same thing. So I really wanted to include this topic in this series because the majority of people are eating way too much salt in their daily diet. And when you reduce your consumption of it, it can make a huge impact on your health in several ways. So first off, we need salt. We use sodium in our bodies to generate nerve impulses, for muscle contraction, and for maintaining proper water and mineral balance in the body. However, when you overconsume sodium in your diet on a regular basis, and I'm talking like years of eating a high sodium diet, it can lead to a couple of different problems within your cardiovascular system, your renal system, which is your kidneys, your bone health, and even can increase your risk for getting stomach cancer. Having too much sodium in your blood can cause your body to hold on to water in order to dilute the sodium. This increases your blood volume, which puts more pressure on your blood vessels and also makes your heart have to work harder. Over time, this can lead to high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes, and even heart failure. Having high blood pressure can increase your risk for developing kidney disease, and then also eating a high sodium diet can increase your risk for developing osteoporosis, which is a disease that weakens your bones and increases your risk for bone fractures. This is because the more salt that you consume, the more calcium you will excrete in your urine. Now, we always need to have a certain amount of calcium in our blood at all times. And when the amount of calcium in the blood goes beneath its normal limit, then your body is going to try to reestablish that by taking calcium from your bones, especially if you're not getting enough from your diet. And so what it does is it puts the calcium from the bone back into the bloodstream so that it can bring your calcium levels back within normal limits. Now, most people that I talk to think that they just need to stop adding salt onto their food right before they eat it, but that is actually not where the overconsumption of salt is coming from. Instead, it is coming from commercially processed foods and foods that you get from a fast food establishment or from a restaurant. So for example, breads, pizza, sandwiches, cold cuts, soups, tacos, savory snacks like pretzels, crackers, cheeses, condiments can be high in sodium, as well as prepared sauces, salad dressings, and gravies. These can all be really high in sodium. Now, how much sodium is too much sodium to consume in a day? The adequate intake, or AI, of sodium that has been determined from randomized controlled trials is 1,500 milligrams per day. And consuming less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day can help reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease and high blood pressure. Now, both of these numbers are for men and women 14 years of age and older, as well as pregnant women. And to help you visualize this, 1 teaspoon of salt is equal to approximately 2,300 milligrams. There is a diet that is recommended by the medical community to help you lower sodium in your diet, and that is called the DASH diet. Now, you may have heard of it, but DASH stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, which is high blood pressure. And it recommends eating a diet that consists of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fat-free or low-fat dairy products, fish, poultry, beans, nuts, and vegetable oils, and limiting consumption of foods that are high in saturated fat, such as fatty meats, full-fat dairy products, and tropical oils such as coconut palm kernel and palm oils, as well as sugar-sweetened beverages and sweets. So in addition to those recommendations, here are some tips that I like to share with people to help them reduce sodium consumption in their daily diet. So tip number 1 is, like I just mentioned, the majority of high sodium containing foods are commercially processed ones, and also the ones that you order at a drive-thru or a restaurant. So the more that you can prepare your own meals with natural, unprocessed, whole foods, the better. These foods are naturally going to be low in sodium, and when you prepare your own meals, you have so much more control on how much salt is in your food because you're the one who will be adding it in. So for example, whenever I make a recipe at home, I always use less salt than what is listed. So if it calls for a half a teaspoon of salt, then I'll add a quarter teaspoon of salt instead. And then just overall, don't worry quite so much about the quick salt shake that you add, to your food right before you eat or while you're cooking it. Tip number 2 is, if you are cooking with a canned item like beans or vegetables, to try to buy a no salt added product. Or if you can't find that, then make sure to at least give the food a good rinse under some water in your sink, as this will help remove some of the sodium present. Tip number 3 is to cook with fresh and or dried herbs and spices, as well as citrus fruits, because that can help you add a lot of flavor to your meals without having to add in a bunch of salt in order to make your food taste really good. So some of my favorites include oregano, parsley, basil, garlic powder, onion powder, and lemon juice. Tip number 4 is to read the nutrition facts labels on processed food products and learn what the sodium containing terms mean. So it is unrealistic to think that you'll be able to completely avoid commercially processed foods because they are so much a part of our everyday lives. So when you do eat them, be sure to check out the nutrition facts label on the back of the product and look at the sodium content in the product. Even foods like breakfast cereals that don't taste salty can be high in sodium, so it's always a good thing to check. Also, most restaurants have the nutrition facts information of their food listed on their website, so you can check that out prior to eating out so that you can choose an option that will be lower in sodium. Now let's talk about the sodium containing terms and define them so that you will understand what they mean when you see them in the grocery store. So these are terms like low sodium or reduced sodium on the processed food product. Salt or sodium free means that the product has less than 5 milligrams of sodium per serving. Very low sodium means that the product has 35 milligrams of sodium or less per serving. Low sodium means that the product has 140 milligrams of sodium or less per serving. Reduced sodium means that the product has at least 25% less sodium than the regular product. Light in sodium or lightly salted means that the product has at least 50% less sodium than the regular product. And then the no salt added or unsalted means that there is no salt added during processing, but these products may not be salt or sodium free unless specifically stated. So something that is reduced sodium or lightly salted may still be a high sodium containing product. So make sure to check out the nutrition facts labeling even if you see these terms. Tip number 5 is to consume salty foods in moderation and to opt for the lower sodium options if they are available. So like cheeses, olives, soy sauce, pickles, etc. can be very popular for people within different cultures to eat, and you don't have to completely quit eating them. Just consume them within moderation and just be mindful of how your body reacts when you eat them. So some people can be very sensitive to salt in their diet, even if they are just eating these foods in moderation. So you may even want to consider monitoring your blood pressure at home, especially if you are somebody who has already been diagnosed with high blood pressure and takes medications for it. That way you can be more aware of how your body reacts to salt consumption and can adjust your diet accordingly. Tip number 6 is to choose lower sodium or no salt versions for your snack foods. So for example, instead of having salted nuts, try eating unsalted nuts or lightly salted nuts. Tip number 7 is to save up for your salty foods. So if you know that you're going out to eat with friends or family and you know that you'll inevitably eat something that will be higher in sodium than you would normally eat when you're at home, then try to consume foods that are naturally low in sodium for the majority of your day so that when you do go out to eat, your total daily consumption of sodium will not be as high as it would be if you ate high sodium foods all throughout your day. Tip number 8 is to give yourself some time for your taste buds to change. If you are used to consuming a high sodium diet, then it may take you a couple of weeks to change your taste buds to not crave a high amount of salt on your food. And lastly, tip number 9 is to remember that what you eat every day matters more than what you eat every once in a while. So if you regularly consume a diet that's naturally low in sodium and high in fresh and unprocessed foods, then don't worry if you consume a high sodium meal every once in a while. Now, before I wrap up, I also wanted to talk about sodium-free substitutes and light salt products that you can find when you're in the grocery store. The sodium-free substitutes contain 100% potassium chloride, and the light salt products replace up to half of the table salt or the sodium chloride with potassium chloride. Now, it is super important that you be really careful and check with your doctor or your pharmacist before consuming them, because consuming extra potassium can be really dangerous for people who have trouble eliminating excess amounts of it or who are taking medications that can increase potassium levels in their blood. So this includes people who have diabetes or kidney disease, if you have a blocked urinary flow, for example, men who have BPH or an enlarged prostate, or if you are taking medications like a potassium-sparing diuretic like spironolactone, an ACE inhibitor like lisinopril, or an angiotensin receptor blocker like losartan. There are other medications out there that can increase potassium levels in your blood, so this isn't a full inclusive list, but these 3 classes of drugs that I just mentioned are very common to take if you have a cardiac condition, depending on what it is. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that in this video. All right, so that is all I have for today's video. I really hope that it helps you as you are trying to improve your health. If you liked it, then please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. It really helps support the growth of my channel, and I would really appreciate it. And if you have missed any of the other episodes in this Getting Healthy for Beginners series, then be sure to 1, subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell for notifications so that you know when I post a new video here on YouTube. And 2, be sure to check out the description box below. I've included a link to the series playlist so that you can go ahead and get caught up or just rewatch any of the other episodes. But otherwise, that's all I have for today's video. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.